The United States is born as a result of the American Revolution. This is our story. After the Battle of Lexington and Concord, the war began in England and the 13 colonies raged on. At the start of the war, the Americans did not have an army, navy, or even any way to buy war supplies. Most agreed around the world that the Americans did not stand a chance. How could a bunch of farmers stand up and fight it out with the most powerful military force in the world? Early in the war, the Americans did not have a very minor victory at the Battle of Fort Ticonderoga, when the Green Mountain Boys, led by Ethan Allen, attacked the fort in the early morning in May of 1775.
Hands up! What's going on around here? What do you think you're doing, mister?
You are now prisoners of the colonies. Get your stuff and get out!
Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Boys won an easy victory at Fort Ticonderoga, but there would be many dark days ahead. After the Battle of Fort Ticonderoga, the British were itching to pound the rebellious colonists. On a warm summer day in Boston, the English attacked the Americans at the battle called Bunker Hill. The Americans were led by Prescott, who shouted out the words that went down in history.
Don't fire till you see the whites of their eyes!
Ready, aim, down!
Don't fire till you see the whites of their eyes! Sir, are you sure about that? Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes?
Them British would have to be right in front of me to see the whites of their eyes.
That's the idea, boys. We're low on ammo and the sights on our guns are crooked. Don't fire till you see the whites of their eyes.
I see the whites of their eyes, sir.
Well, then fire!
Let's take Bunker Hill. Charge!
Here they come! Fire!
Bang! Bang!
Bang!
Oh! Oh no! Oh, I'm dying! Oh, yes, I got it! Oh no, I lost one! Yeah. No!
They got me!
No!
No!
I'm dying!
No!
the Americans lost at Bunker Hill, they fought very tough and put the British Army on notice that they were not fighting a bunch of sissy boys. The British now knew that the Americans would be very difficult to fight on any battlefield.
The first year of the war raged on between the mighty British Army and the ragged American army. The goal of the Americans during the first year was to win a major battle to get England to come to her senses. All the Americans wanted was to be treated like Englishmen with the rights of an Englishman. They just wanted to go back to the way it was before England and George III started taking away their rights in 1763. But by the end of the first year of fighting, many Americans began to think that the war should be about independence, breaking away from England, so they could rule their own lands by themselves. The movement of independence grew strong because of the efforts of a man named Thomas Paine, who wrote a pamphlet called Common Sense.
Now there was General Washington with all the folks about him. Before they got the final, but they couldn't do it now.
Yeah!
Yeah.
It's only common sense, my dear brothers and sisters, that we should rule our own land.
Yeah!
You rock, Tom.
You rock, Tom!
Come on, Tom. It is not right for a tiny island like England to rule a huge continent like America.
Right!
You're totally agree with you with some rad ideas, man.
Totally right! Yeah!
Let's not let that roller blue England push us around anymore.
No!
You're exclusively a trip in the Revolutionary Hip Cat, Tom.
Yeah, you're exclusively a trip!
Yeah! It is only common sense that we should start a new nation and totally break away from England.
Yeah, break away from England! Yeah! Totally!
There was a man in our town, I'll tell you his condition. He told me not to know his
Thomas Paine had a huge impact on the colonies. More and more people talked openly about the independence. By June of 1776, the idea of the independence was debated at the Second Continental Congress, which met in Philadelphia that hot summer of 1776. It was at the Second Continental Congress that our leaders decided to break away from England when 56 brave men signed the Declaration of Independence and made the war into a revolution. Well, boys, let's all come in and sign this thing and declare to England that we don't want them around anymore.
Why'd you write so big, John Hancock?
So big fat George III can see with this without his glasses. Come on, boys, sign it too. Me and Ben don't want to be the only ones committing the treason.
If they catch us, we'll all be hanged for treason. We must all indeed hang together, or we shall most assuredly hang separately.
Yes.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and the pledge to the ideals of our forefathers.
uphold the principles of our Constitution. And last but not least, it's a pledge to maintain the four great freedoms cherished by all Americans: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for
The first year and a half went badly for the Americans. The Americans did not win any major battles. Washington's army was always short of supplies and always on the run. The Declaration of Independence had declared to the world in 1776 that we were a free and independent nation. But those who signed the Declaration were now running for their lives. It looked like our independence would be short and England would win the war and reclaim her colonies. America desperately needed a victory of any kind to boost patriotic morale and give some hope of victory. On Christmas of 1776, the Continental Army got the victory they needed when Washington's army crossed the Delaware and snuck up on Hessian soldiers who were sleeping after a long night of celebrating Christmas Eve.
Row this boat, men. We will sneak up on the Hessians and finally get a victory we need.
General, the boat is leaking.
Oh!
We are gonna drown.
No!
And the water is freezing.
Just that we're unsafe to row faster, men.
General, are you sure this plan is going to work? What if the Hessians are waiting for us? We'll be cut to pieces.
Don't worry, old Georgie I wouldn't lead you in a trap. We will win. The Hassans will be asleep, and victory will be ours.
Yeah!
Woo!
The Hessians are sleeping, and Washington's men won an easy victory at the Battle of Trenton that Christmas Day in 1776.
Beautiful face, happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is the bluebird. Sing that song, we go along.
During the winter of 1777 and 1778, times looked dark and gloomy for the American Continental Army. Washington's army had been chased and nearly cornered several times during the first 2 years of the war, but miraculously Washington was able to outmaneuver the British and escape. The winter was very cold and Washington's army had to spend the winter in a place called Valley Forge. His men were freezing, starving, and they wanted to give up. But Washington kept encouraging his men and would not let them give up.
and I know you're hungry. But anything worth the salt is worth sacrificing for.
But General, most of us are freezing. It's so cold.
The tough gets going.
But, sir, we haven't had any food in 3 days.
3 days!
Tough times never last, but tough people do.
General, most of us don't even have boots to keep our toesies-woesies warm.
Springtime. It may be winter now, but springtime is just around the corner, man.
But General, the British are staying just down the road in Philadelphia. They stay in warm houses and have nice meals 3 times a day.
3 times a day!
Hang in there, men. We will win, and there will be brighter and warmer days. Give me a group hug.
Beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay.
The Americans not only did survive, but they got some welcome news in 1778. France and Spain were so impressed with the spirit of the American Revolution, they decided to help out. Spain and France sent men and money to help the new nation of the United States defeat the British.
We are very glad to help you fight against our old enemies, the English.
Yes, boy, we will greatly enjoy helping you defeat the British. Together we will bring down the mighty Britain Empire.
Thank you very much, my friends. We will forever be in your debt.
France and Spain, America now had a better than average chance of defeating England. But the greatest advantage America had during the war was her spirit and courage that even England greatly admired. The best example of an American giving everything they had for the Revolution happened in New York when a young American spy by the name of Nathan Hill was captured and hanged, but it is his last words that will forever be remembered.
Nathan Hill, you are charged with being a spy and for being a traitor against the crown in England. The punishment is death by hanging. Do you have any last words?
I regret that I have but one life to give for my country.
How can we possibly win against these Americans when they would gladly lay down their lives for this cause? Carry out the sentence.
Another example of giving everything for the cause of freedom is the effort of John Paul Jones. The most famous naval battle in American history took place in 1779, when even though John Paul Jones' ship...
Wait.
Surrender, traitor, and be ready to become our prisoner.
I have not yet begun to fight. Touche.
ship was on fire and sinking, the spirit and courage he displayed that day was truly miraculous. Before the battle was over, John Paul Jones won the most famous naval sea victory in all of American history. By the fall of 1781, with the help of France, General Cornwallis of the British Army is completely surrounded at the Battle of Yorktown.
Cornwallis, there is no place to run and no place to hide. Lay down your guns and this ain't no jive. And you in England will now have to recognize the United States as a free and independent nation.
Oh, okay.
With the help of France, the United States did win the American Revolution when General Cornwallis surrendered in September of 1781. England would now have to let go of her 13 colonies and recognize the United States as a free nation. The most important result of the American Revolution is the birth of the United States. We hope you have enjoyed this Cheapo Cheapo production on our American Revolution. Even though John Paul Jones' ship was on fire and sinking, the spirit and courage he displayed that day was truly miraculous. Before the battle was over, John Paul Jones won the most famous naval